Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Gwyneth Flack. Welcome to Mediumship Sparks, where we connect more deeply with spirit and source and follow the sparks of insight and inspiration that bring us greater awareness, healing, and just more flow into our lives. I'm Noelle Dean, intuitive medium, licensed therapist, and your host. A quick note before we begin: this podcast is for educational purposes only and provides general information. It is not medical or psychological advice and is not a substitute for care from a licensed health professional. I'm so grateful we get to step into this and the many valuable pieces of in-depth information she gives about the benefits of spiritual development and emotional development and how that can really support you in your life in so many ways. If you want to contact Gwyneth Flack or read her book, the contact information for both are in the show notes. I hope you enjoy the episode.
It's fun to make it into a game for ourselves. Everything's more fun when we approach it like it's a game. We're playing, right? So if we start out our day and we just ask our intuition, which way should I walk today? That would be most peaceful or whatever it would be, or most interesting. What we're deciding what the mock-up is, what we would like to experience, but then we're asking, or should I work on this project or that project? And we work on the project that we're directed to work on, and we go, wow, that felt really good. I had a really good day today. I felt really balanced and happy. That was the right thing to work on. Or we ignore our intuition and we work on the other thing and we go, oh, that felt hard. I felt stuck. Ah, yes, I did get that intuitive message that I was supposed to work on the other project and I ignored it. And that's okay. That's great. That's actually a reason to celebrate, because it's about building our awareness of when we did follow it and when we didn't follow it. That's equally as valuable, right?
Oh, definitely. And then that will help you discern. Like, I thought I was following it, but I think I got in my head, I was shooting myself about productivity. And then I started doing X because somebody else has an expectation of what I'm going to get done. As an
Yeah.
example, you feel pulled, like the human part, more feeling
Yeah.
pulled and not really being connected. Yeah. And I love what you're saying about building that self trust that you can be the receptor for all the information that you're looking for answers for. And it is nice to also get readings for big stuff when it's so big, you really can't have any objectivity about it because it's a life-changing decision. I love what you're saying about all the little things, even just starting with which way should I walk? What should I wear today? Which pair of earrings would support me best? Little
Yeah.
things like that, and work your way into understanding the bigger stuff too, and honoring yourself as a whole being. You were talking about all the pressure we put on ourselves intellectually and to fit into the societal norm of being productive. And that can be literally so counterintuitive in so many ways, because if you listen
Right.
to your intuition, you might not even work that day. And that might keep you from feeling depressed later because you exhausted all of your, let's say, energetic and emotional resources. And it might have seemed that was a stupid idea because I thought I was supposed to do X, but I ended up doing this. But now I feel like crap. It's a fine tuning, honoring both pieces. But you're right, with the pressure and the quick movement that we're maybe expecting of ourselves or feel like others might be expecting of us. It is hard to take that space and just really quietly connect. Like, it's really a practice. I
Yeah.
remember when I was like 20 and I was living in New Jersey and I was on the highway and I was trying to figure out which route to take to get to where I wanted to go. It was the first moment I recognized I like never listened to my intuition because I knew to go this way, but I stayed where I was and the traffic was terrible. And I've been on a journey since, a very slow journey since then, to try to build that trust in the little things and the big things. I've taken some detours, but I agree that it is that kind of journey where it is very slow, but in a good way, because it's more wholesome. It's like a friendship that you really earn. You really are there for each other when anything feels like you need that kind of support and that person shows up or you show up for them. And that kind of indelible trust is something that you can only earn over time. And it's really powerful and it's permanent.
I love that. We build more and more neutrality in more and more areas. Like what you were saying earlier, saying sometimes you need to go and have a big reading on something really important because it's hard to be objective sometimes with those big things in life. What I've found as somebody that teaches, trains people in clairvoyance and intuition, trains people to read, is that the more we start to bring our awareness to more and more areas, and we become more and more neutral to more areas as we do the inner work and we clear out what keeps us from being objective in a certain area. That's the beautiful, what I would call spiritual growth that comes out of doing the inner work of becoming more consciously aware and developing our intuitive awareness. Is more and more areas open up where previously we couldn't really read that area clearly because we just had so much stuff in there. It's if you have a closet, let's say you have 10 closets in your house and every closet is just packed with stuff. And one closet's meant to be for, I don't know, somebody's sports equipment, and another's meant to be for their winter jackets. And all the closets have different purposes. Let's say we slowly go around and we start to clear out every closet. Then all of a sudden, this new space opens up, and we can then use it for its purpose or
Mhm.
create a new purpose for it. But it's like with our intuition, can be like that. We have all these different areas, and we might find that some areas we've always been able to read well, and other areas, wow, we just get totally off track when we start to look in that area because we don't have as much neutrality. We
Mhm.
haven't cleared out that closet yet. We haven't cleared out, I'm going to just say the junk. But what it
Yeah.
really is, it's these mental image pictures in our minds that we're carrying around from past time experiences. Of course, our experiences, we have experiences, but we are not our experiences, right? We are actually a spiritual being having a human experience, and we have all these experiences, but the more that we're able to recognize that those experiences are in past time, and wow, look, and start to read the pictures or the images that are attached to feelings and thoughts, as we start to read those when I'm training people to read, when we learn to read other people, the deeper we go within ourselves with releasing those old experiences within ourselves that we're carrying around that we don't need anymore because we gain the wisdom, but we don't need to keep the debris, let's just say, right? And so over time, we start to release a lot of energy held in our space. And it's really incredible for how much neutrality that will open up in some space where the person really struggled with having clarity. And then they do the work in that area. And then, wow, look at that. It's more awareness and it's more neutrality, and it becomes easier to handle and read and navigate within that area of your life. And then you're ready for another area. What area is that? It's unique to the person, whatever that area is. If I have a whole bunch of students, they're going to come in, and some of them are naturally strong in reading in one area, and somebody else the opposite area. The process to me of intuitive training, so we're always matching energy with people. We're out in the world and we're matching energy. And this starts when we're little children in our home. And so we're matching that energy. And we can also unmatch from the energy as well. So when we become aware that we can unmatch, we don't just have to match, that's actually really freeing and nice. It's, for example, we might turn on the news and boom, oh, we just match the energy of the
Mm.
news. And how do
Mhm.
we feel? We felt good before, but all of a sudden, boom, we just drop right down. Or we are feeling really good, and then we go into a big meeting that we need to be at, and we match that energy. And somebody who's leading the meeting is really a tough person that doesn't really isn't like the kindest leader or something like that.
Mhm.
And then, oh, we match that energy. But we can unmatch from energy. And also, as we start to recognize that we just matched energy, we can match good energy too. We might be around a whole pack of kids that are just laughing and laughing. They're laughing so hard they're falling off the couch. We match that energy, right? We can match excited energy, energy that is really making us feel sad or scared, or we can match any kind of energy, but we really want to have our own space, have ownership of our own space and awareness of what energy we're matching and what are we carrying around within our own energy space? What pictures, based on our past experiences, are we carrying around that really becomes an Achilles heel for us, if you will? Like where, because we have that picture, we match and then we get stuck. Ooh, when we run into a certain kind of person, oh my gosh. Like we go to a party or something like that and we're having fun. And then we end up interacting with this one kind of person and it just throws us off because we hit some kind of matching picture that it's very different. That person could be completely different than us, but we both have survival pictures based on past experiences. Boom, a similar set of pictures in two utterly different people. Ooh, where they either clash with each other or don't even want to speak or don't know how to relate or all these kinds of things happen. And so that's all part of matching energy. As you become more aware, you go, oh, wow, because I remember actually, this is a good story. Two of my students for this 2 year training that I was giving, they started out where they really didn't like each other. And they were in the class together, but they're like arm's length. I don't know why, but I'm not really sure I like this person. Not really sure why. Just don't really like their vibe. And then they realized as they started to read each other and match energies and then release the pictures that they were both holding, two very different people. One was a man, one was a woman, totally different careers, different family circumstances, different upbringings, everything. But they started to release those pictures that were enmeshing them and getting them stuck with each other. And then all of a sudden, they became best buds where they decided to collaborate on a creative project together. And to this day, they really like each other. It's really interesting what can come out of what I would call spiritual growth that comes out of learning how to read energy. Why are we learning how to read energy? It's not just meant to be like a party trick or something like that. It's for our growth and awareness and expansiveness, and it benefits any kind of work that we do that really benefits the whole planet. No joke. It ripples out the benefits of the spiritual growth that we do.
You're describing a real sense of agency over one's attention, your intention, the energy that you're experiencing, what you are aware of connecting with or not, which is really powerful for everyday life. It doesn't matter if you would consider your work to have any kind of spiritual component, to be so much less trapped. Like you
Yeah.
were saying about, I think you mentioned about watching the news, and we can match that energy without realizing it. And
Mhm.
just as you described that, I was like, oh crap, I've been doing that a lot more lately. And it's been really
Mhm.
affecting me. I usually have the blinders on because I don't really think to choose to unmatch that kind of energy once I've gotten caught up. I love that awareness and the depth at which you're talking about of people really working on themselves. As a therapist, I can really appreciate what you're saying about people having these, we might call them like a schema in therapy, but like a picture or an experience from early childhood that kind of drives us. And then we find somebody who maybe completes that picture, not in a healthy way. And that can create all kinds of mischief in relationships without people being aware of it at all, because what you're reacting to is not really that human being. It's what they represent. It's something related to your childhood or a parent. You can so easily get caught up in the reactivity of things. It just gives you a smoother life to not do that, to go into that level of depth of really working and clearing stuff out. Like your closet metaphor was perfect. Once you go through and you stop pretending or avoiding, then you're a really different person. I have so much more peace than I had even 5 years ago with the work that I continue to do. But what you're describing is even deeper than I think that I've gone with myself in certain areas. There's things that are still like hanging on, and it can really knock you off. if intuition is like being in the flow, like ideally the flow of the energy that's around you, the people in spirit that are coming around to support you, but you're upset about something that maybe you've been upset about for 20 years or 20 days, whatever it is, there's only so much they can do to knock on the door and come in to try to really support you. And I also just want to say, I don't typically advocate for people to get readings. I really want people to be able to get the answers for themselves. But when you were talking earlier, and I was imagining somebody who was feeling the pressure of, I should be able to figure this out, or I should be able to get a message for myself when it is such a big issue, that's part of the pressure. It's really beautiful to have friends who are also doing mediumship or are really working on their intuition, because you can get so much support that way. Being in a class, when people practice on each other, you get to learn so much from somebody else's experience of your energy, and then you can get some really beautiful insight. When you mention clairvoyance, do you mean mediumship or specifically clairvoyance?
I use the term clairvoyance as like an
Okay.
umbrella term. I'll say I'm teaching a clairvoyance course where I'm teaching people how to tune into every part of themselves as an intuitive being. I could just as easily use the word intuitive training. It's just tapping into those sort of the unseen or unrecognized parts of ourselves that are innate, that we all have. You can receive answers in so many different ways. It's just different ways to access our awareness. And through reading, we become more and more aware and we release more and more of what we've been holding or carrying. I couldn't agree with you more what you were saying earlier about don't go it alone in life. It's so important to reach out, take a class if it's the right class that's aligned for you, get a reading if it's a good person, or see a therapist. Go reach out for what you need is so important. The worst thing is for people to think that they're supposed to come up with everything on their own in life, whatever that is. We're not meant to just raise our kids totally by ourselves without any help. We're not meant to grow spiritually. We're without help, meaning we're meant to do it together. We don't get trained for anything in life, whether it's our PhD or whatever, just on our own. It's always in conjunction. I think that there's a lot of that in the world right now, that aloneness, people feeling isolated and alone. And that's why I really want to add to what you were saying, that it's really valuable and important. And we can all get blindsided. Sometimes we just need a really trusted, whether it's a friend who's really clear and intuitive, or
Mhm.
whether it's a professional reading or whatever, or a therapist, therapy session. We just need somebody who's going to give us that clear view coming from someone else. And then we get to look and go, does that track for me?
Mhm.
Yes, it does track for me. And that's where our intuition comes in once again, as we're listening to the information that we're receiving. Does that really resonate for me? Yes, it
Mhm.
does resonate, or it does, but it brings up this other thing.
Most likely it will, because it's complicated. But when you say resonate, I just want to clarify for anybody who doesn't really use that term, that it can be, how does that feel in your body? When you try it on, do you feel settled in your body? Does it feel peaceful? Does it feel quiet in your body and in your head when you're with that piece of information? So just a little personal story. A couple of years ago, I gave myself a little mediumship retreat in a little mountainy town surrounded by trees. I was connecting with a guide. I said, do you have any other advice for me for now? She said, you need to stop eating animal products. And I was like, excuse me? I was really shocked by the information, which is part of the validation that you're picking up on information from somebody else. I was thinking I should become a vegetarian at some point, but I wasn't even close. But when I sat with the information, it just felt so right in my body, in my head, in everything. I was like, okay. It was shocking to me. It still is in some ways. I'm glad I made the change, but explaining that to some people would be like, what? Which I have gotten. Like there's nothing wrong with animal. I was like, I'm just saying for me, I was clear that was the truth for me. And talking about feeling alone, the more we do this clearing that you're describing, the more we can connect with all of these beautiful people that love us and that we love in this life that are on the other side. And you never really feel alone either. when you feel aware of the energies around you. It's been my experience that people, when they cross over, sometimes they actually need some time to heal before they can come back, really just from a place of love. And not everybody would agree with that sentence, and I totally get it, but that's just been my personal experience. But man, my life is so enriched by my connections with grandparents in particular lately, but family members that are on the other side. And that's a big part of who could be our community and tribe for us. Another good reason to do this clearing that you're talking about. This is part of what reading your book and going through the exercises in your book would provide to people, is what it sounds like.
Ways to really get in touch. It's a whole spiritual toolbox or intuitive
Mm.
toolbox and it's got 20 activities or exercises in it.
Ooh.
And it's really foundational. It's meant to
Mm.
create the foundation or the safe habitat, the receptive
Mm.
space
Mhm.
to really be able to more easily integrate and live from an intuitive space that's very much teamed up. It's really meant to bring your body and soul into more alignment together as a team rather than, oh, okay, the spiritual is over here and the earthly world is over here, and I do this and then I do that. No, we're really meant to live with those two aligned together. The book is, it's not so much about mediumship, like in the, like speaking to people who have passed over, which I speak to people who have passed over as well. But the book wasn't focused on that. It was how do we get people to build a really strong foundation to be that aligned body and soul team. So
Yeah.
from that foundation, then it's, ooh, you're limitless.
Totally get that. That level of
Yeah.
integration with yourself. And that would bring in pieces of self-love. When you're talking about self-care,
Yeah.
that's part of it, is learning how to work through whatever negative conditioning we have to
Yeah.
reach that point of appreciating who we are, who we've come, maybe where we've come from. But yeah, you have to care, genuinely care about someone or something to actually care for it. And doing that level of self-care can breed more self-love and appreciation, which would make you feel fuller as a human, and in all the best ways.
Absolutely. And getting it's all about communication,
Mm.
communicating with ourselves, not just as a body, but as a soul and body communication, and really opening up all those different levels of communication so that it makes everything easier and more
Mm.
clear.
Love that. Gwyneth, I'm so appreciating you and your philosophy and your experience, hearing you speak. Obviously, you've put a lot of time into training yourself, training other people, learning all the possibilities of where people could go and how to bring them back to themselves. And I'm just so appreciative of the clarity that you have to do that. Please describe how people can get in touch with you, how they can find your book.
You can find my book on Amazon, definitely, but you can also order it through your local bookstore. Chances are you can get it through your bookstore if you ask them for it, or through bookshop.org. There's so many different places. You can go to my website and connect with me through my website, gwynethflack.com. I might
You
need
have
to
to spell Gwyneth because it's tricky.
it's Gwyneth. And then F as in flower, LACK.com. You can get in touch with me. I love to hear from people. I love to communicate.
And I'll put all your information in the show notes.
Yeah. I'm on Instagram. Yep.
Mhm.
And I've got a retreat this year in August, an intuitive tools 4 series class that'll start in April. That's just a nice, simple, meets 4 times, hour and a half each time online. And then I've got the longer intuitive training that does start in September. So lots of things going on. And yeah, love to hear from any listener that enjoyed our conversation today.
Lots of beautiful tools to help people bring themselves back to who
Yeah,
they really are and their own connections. Yeah.
exactly. That's such a good way to put it.
Such a pleasure to talk with you. We're gwynethflack.com and Limitless. Can you read your subtitle?
Yeah,
Subject.
limitless. Transform your life with intuition and creativity. a long title.
Actually, you would need it
Yeah.
to qualify. Limitless in what exactly? And yeah, I think you captured it really well. Thank you for talking with us today and sharing yourself. This was great.
Thank you. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate that you had me on your podcast. It was fun.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for spending this time with me on Mediumship Sparks. If this episode resonated with you, please like it, subscribe, rate, and certainly share it with somebody else who could benefit. If you're interested in any support I might be able to provide as you navigate your spiritual path, please feel free to check out my offerings at connectingwithnoelle.com and reach out at mediumshipsparkspodcast@gmail.com. Take good care of yourself, and I'll look forward to being with you again soon.